Hello my friends, my name is Dragonheart the Prince of Wales and welcome to a video where I will be discussing what I believe to be the best 5 Total War games that have been released by Creative Assembly. Please remember that this is only my opinion. There will be some listed here that you'll likely disagree with. If that is the case, then I'd be interested to see what your favourite top 5 games are, so please list them in the comment section below. Without further ado, let's start with an honourable mention and then we'll kick off with our number 5. I have picked Total War Warhammer as an honourable mention. The game was a massive risk by CA, as it was the first time they had developed a game in the Total War franchise that involved various races, lords and of course magic, and combining all of this to faithfully recreate the Warhammer fantasy world by Games Workshop. It just misses out on the top 5, but I wanted to mention it in this video, and I believe it's well worth an honourable mention. At number 5 we have Total War Rome 2. This was the game that I had geared my channel around, the game that was to be a successor to the Great Rome Total War. Unfortunately it had a shaky release, and it did take various patches and further development before it became a competent game. Upon its release, it would have likely have appeared on my top 5 worst list. However, with the update to the Emperor Edition, along with various campaign DLCs such as Caesar in Gaul, Hannibal at the Gates, and Rise of the Republic, along with the fact that CA are still updating and offering support for the game long after its 2013 release, showed this game has had a lot of love from its creators. The game is still very popular amongst the fanbase, being one of the most played Total War games on Steam, but perhaps its most redeeming attribute is the modding community it has, with fantastic mods that include the Divide et Impera and Radius Total War to name a few. Some of the faction packs are hit and miss and of course can be considered a cash grab, especially as many of them were unlocked through mods before eventually being placed behind a paywall. However, for the better or for worse, there is no doubt that Rome 2 has had an impact on the Total War community, and that is why I have it as my number 5 pick. Number 4 we have Rome Total War. Sometimes you just can't beat a classic. Straight away I am going to go on record and say that it would be very hard for any Total War game to beat the soundtrack that was included with this game. The music by Jeff Van Dyke is incredible and truly captures the emotion of historical warfare. This paired up with what was at the time groundbreaking gameplay with CA's upgrade to the Total War 2 engine, along with greater options for settlement management, diplomacy options and a nice variety of factions that you could play with. The game engine used for Rome Total War was also used in a modified capacity for one of my favourite game shows as a kid, called Time Commanders. I loved this show, and it was through watching some of these great battles being recreated that initially got me into the game in the first place. Many of us remember our first love, and I imagine for many of you it would be Rome Total War. Number 3 is very similar to number 4, but it just edges it out. Medieval 2 again pushed that bar slightly higher. It used the same game engine, and it can be argued that it was a slightly better looking reskinned Rome Total War. Now, that's not necessarily a bad thing. Medieval 2 brought us a superb successor to Medieval Total War. It had fantastic unit balancing, extra game mechanics such as calling for a jihad or crusade. It allowed us to smash into our enemies with lethal heavy cavalry charges. The game brought us boiling oil, which was used in sieges. It brought us medieval weaponry such as crossbows, and arguably the best expansion pack ever with the Kingdom's expansion. This expansion gave us 4 new campaigns: the Britannia campaign of medieval Britain. Being Welsh, this was obviously my favourite, as for the first time I was able to play as my own people. The Teutonic campaign, where we took part in the great battle between Christianity and Baltic paganism. The Crusades campaign, where we battled with the legendary Richard the Lionheart and Saladin on the sands of the Holy Land. And finally we got to explore the New World for the first time with the Native Americas and invading Spanish Armada. These campaigns were something to treasure back then, and to this day I find it difficult to find a DLC or expansion pack that gives us as much as the Kingdom's expansion did. My praise for this game doesn't end there though. Medieval 2 has probably been the most modded Total War game of all time, with full conversion and gameplay enhancement mods that include Stainless Steel, Broken Crescent and Game of Thrones to name a few. However, in my opinion, the best mod created for this game is hands down the Third Age mod, a faithful recreation of the Lord of the Rings world, with amazing unit and settlement details added for good measure. Playing the game in 2019 does make things feel a little bit dated. The game was originally released in 2006, however this is a must for any Total War fan and should be on everyone's top 5 list. We go over to the Far East with our number 2 pick, and I have selected Shogun Too. I mentioned previously that Jeff Van Dyke did a fantastic job with his music on Rome Total War, and he again does a great job here, making you feel like you are immersed in Japanese warfare. Shogun Too has, in my opinion, the best campaign AI out of the more modern entries in the franchise. It has Realm Divide, a feature which allows for the campaign to develop into large factions being created, all vying for control and domination. It has possibly the most polish out of all of the games, with each unit looking stunning, each battlefield looking realistic. Again, mods also play a small part here, with Darth mod being a mod for those who want a bit more of a challenge, as well as faction mods such as the inclusion of Portugal, and also the Korean Peninsula give this game great longevity. It also has a great expansion with Fall of the Samurai and Rise of the Samurai DLCs. Rise was good and a nice change of pace, but Fall of the Samurai is, in my opinion, the best Total War game to feature gun warfare. I feel like CA started this with Empire, had further development with Napoleon, but truly got to show off gun warfare with Fall of the Samurai. Also, the inclusion of more modern weaponry such as Gatling guns was a great experience, one which does pose the question of whether a possible World War I or II game could be done by them in the future. With all of this taken into account and my own personal experience with Shogun Too, these are the reasons why I've selected this as my number 2 pick. Finally, we are here at number 1, and for number 1 I have gone with Thrones of Britannia. I believe lots of people don't give this game enough credit, and surely how can you not mention the great Welshman of Gwynedd? Okay, seriously, I'm not picking Thrones of Britannia, but if you want to see me talk about that game, stay tuned to the channel where I will be discussing that amongst many others with my top 5 worst Total War games. For number 1, I have actually gone with Total War Warhammer 2. The reason I have gone with this is that I'm a massive lover of fantasy. Being a fan of both Game of Thrones and the Witcher universe, I was intrigued to see how they would do with a game out of their comfort zone. They built a great game in the first Warhammer, one which I gave an honourable mention to in this video, but they improved upon this by adding in additional features such as the climate system, where penalties would be given to a race of which settled in a region not suitable. They added in mighty unit models that must have been painstaking to create, such as giant lizards, crazy ratmen, undead tomb scorpions and fanatical war hydras. The world is dark and full of amazing yet terrifying creatures. Yes, the source material is there for the most part, but the work that must have gone into this game would have been very challenging, and I have to give Creative Assembly great praise in what I believe to be some of their best work yet. The game has incredible replayability, with each faction playing very differently. They have also created some great DLC, with the Tomb Kings being a particular favourite of mine. And to top it all off, they merged the maps of Warhammer 1 and 2 to create the Mortal Empires map, the ultimate game mode for those looking for a long and rewarding campaign. The final positive I will mention is of course the modding community. I currently have about 60 mods enabled on my Warhammer 2, with some of my favourite being dry range reskin mods and some of the other graphical enhancement mods that you can get off the Steam Workshop. Thank you for watching the video. I would love to hear what your thoughts are for your personal top 5 Total War games. I will be doing a top 5 worst list as well, and I'm also willing to do more list ideas, so please, if you have any ideas, let me know in the comments section below. I've been Dragonheart, thank you for watching, until next time, goodbye.